The sun has just risen over the reserve, casting a soft light across the wide, empty yard. The air is crisp and still. A gentle breeze sways the leaves of nearby trees, and the familiar sounds of birds singing fill the space. But something is different this morning. A quiet unease lingers, as if the land itself is holding its breath. In the middle of the yard, a small dog lies unmoving, its body thin and frail. The dog's fur is matted with dirt, and its ribs are visible beneath the grimy coat. Its eyes, wide and unblinking, stare at the ground, as if it has neither the strength nor the will to move. Emily, the ranger, approaches cautiously, her boots crunching softly on the dry earth. She notices how the dog's body barely twitches as she gets closer, and her heart sinks. She kneels a few feet away, still keeping a respectful distance. The dog's breathing is shallow and uneven, but it is alive, just barely. She reaches out, her fingers brushing against the rough ground, feeling the weight of the moment settle in her chest. She's seen animals in distress before, injuries, exhaustion, the slow toll of the wild, but there's something different about this. The dog's condition is worse than she imagined. The way it lies there, so still, its eyes distant, sends a cold shiver through her. Emily looks around quickly, her gaze sweeping over the landscape. The reserve is vast, and it's a reminder of how alone the dog must have felt in these last few days. Whatever it's been through, it has faced it alone. She exhales softly, making a decision. The first thing is food and water. If the dog can take it, it might survive. She doesn't know how long it's been in this state, but every minute counts. Slowly, she rises to her feet and walks back to the small shed, gathering the supplies she needs. She's careful to move without making sudden noises, not wanting to startle the dog, not wanting to risk a frightened reaction. Returning with a bowl of water and food, Emily kneels again, this time closer to the animal. She places the bowl in front of the dog, setting it down gently. Her hands tremble slightly. There's no way to know if the dog can even muster the strength to drink. She watches for a moment, waiting. The dog's eyes don't leave the ground, but she notices its nose twitching slightly. The air around them seems thick with tension, and she finds herself holding her breath. A few long seconds pass. Then the dog lifts its head, just barely. It moves slowly, weakly, its gaze still unfocused. But there's a tiny shift in its posture. The dog sniffs the water, then, with a soft sigh, begins to lap at it, its body trembling with each small movement. Emily stays still, waiting as the dog drinks. She doesn't dare move, doesn't dare speak. All she can do is watch. The dog's head lowers for a moment, and Emily catches a brief flicker of something in its eyes. A quiet recognition, perhaps, that it's no longer alone. The air between them is calm now, less tense, but the stakes remain high. If the dog can't hold this, if it can't drink or eat enough to regain strength, there's little hope. But, for now, she watches as the small creature slowly takes in the water, its ribs still visible but its movements now less desperate. A faint sense of hope begins to bloom in Emily's chest. The wind stirs again, lifting the hairs on the back of her neck, but she doesn't move. There's a gentle rhythm to the dog's drinking, each small sip a soft promise of life, no matter how fragile. The morning is quiet, and the world feels, for just a moment, still. The morning is still, and the soft wind moves lazily through the trees, but Emily's focus is on the dog. Its fragile body, now slightly more alert after the water, remains motionless, and the faint rise and fall of its chest is the only sign of life. She feels the weight of the moment settle in, knowing that this is the tipping point for the small creature's survival. She stands, her feet rooted to the earth, unsure of what to do next. The dog has drunk, but it is still so weak. It hasn't eaten in days, maybe longer. The hunger that holds it is as apparent as its exhaustion. Emily knows she has to act. Her fingers tremble as she sets the bowl of food down carefully in front of the dog. She hesitates for a moment, watching, waiting to see if the dog will respond. The fragile animal shifts its gaze to the bowl, its eyes distant, barely focusing. It doesn't seem to move, but there's a subtle shift in its posture, as if it's considering the food in front of it. She knows this is the moment. If it doesn't eat, the chances of survival diminish with every hour that passes. The dog's life is fragile, balanced on a thread of hope and instinct. Emily crouches down slowly, not wanting to startle it. The dog doesn't flinch, but she sees the slightest movement of its head as it shifts forward. Its body remains stiff, as though it's unsure whether to trust the food in front of it. Emily speaks softly, but her voice is low and careful. "It's okay. You can eat." Her words are a gentle encouragement, but there's no dramatic gesture, no sudden rush. She waits. The dog hesitates for a few moments, its eyes still glassy, as if unsure whether it has the strength to eat. The silence is heavy around them, broken only by the soft wind rustling the leaves. Then, almost imperceptibly, the dog leans forward, its nose brushing the food, sniffing the air. It's weak, its movements slow, but there's a definite pull towards the nourishment. The dog's nose touches the food, and Emily watches, breath held. For a moment, there's nothing but the quiet sound of its breath. The dog's head dips, and with the gentlest of movements it begins to eat. The first bite is small and tentative, but it is enough. Her heart swells with a quiet relief. But she knows this is just the beginning. The dog's body is frail, and every bite is a fight for life. Emily stays still, allowing the dog the space to feed. She watches closely, noting the way its body reacts to the food, the slight trembling of its legs, the way it pauses to gather strength after each bite. It's clear that it hasn't eaten in far too long, and its strength will not return all at once. But the small movements, the careful chewing, are enough to give Emily hope. The food is making a difference, one tiny bite at a time. She doesn't rush. There's no need for urgency now. All she can do is wait and watch, giving the dog the time it needs. Its movements are still sluggish, but with each bite its body seems to recover a little, its strength returning in fragile increments. The bowl is nearly empty now. And Emily feels a quiet gratitude for the small victory, but she knows the battle is not over. She remains patient, her gaze fixed on the dog as it finishes the last of the food. There's no dramatic recovery, no sudden leap of energy. The dog finishes, lowers its head, and lies down again, still exhausted but with a small piece of peace in its posture. The wind stirs again, carrying the scent of the wild, and Emily stands looking down at the dog. It hasn't moved much since it finished eating, but there's a softness in the way its body lies now, a sense that it has begun to heal. Emily knows there is still a long way to go. There's still a chance that the dog could falter, that its weakened body might not hold up. But for now, it has eaten. For now, it has taken another step towards survival. And for Emily, that quiet, slow moment of progress is enough. The world feels a little quieter now, the air more still as she watches the dog rest. It's not the end of the struggle, but it's a beginning. The stakes remain high, but there's a soft sense of possibility. If the dog can hold on to this, if it can keep going, then it might just have a chance. But for now, it is alive, and that, for Emily, is enough. The morning passes slowly, and the quiet of the reserve remains unbroken. Emily watches the dog rest, its body still fragile. Yet the soft rise and fall of its chest carries a rhythm that wasn't there earlier. Its condition is far from stable, but it has made it through the first hurdle: food and water. The small, steady movements of the dog's breathing give Emily a glimmer of hope, even though the journey ahead is uncertain. She doesn't rush toward it. Instead, she allows the dog the space it needs, waiting patiently, her movements slow and deliberate. As she sits nearby, watching the dog's slight shifts in position, she notices how it no longer flinches at her presence. The dog is alert but calm, its eyes heavy with exhaustion, but not filled with the same fearful distance she saw before. There's a subtle shift in the way it holds itself, a quiet surrender to the help it's received, as if it recognizes that this human is not a threat. The stillness of the moment carries an unexpected weight. Emily feels something unspoken pass between them, a connection she hadn't anticipated. She's seen animals in distress before, but this moment, this fragile calm, feels different. She leans forward slightly, her hands open and relaxed. Slowly, she reaches out toward the dog. She doesn't make any sudden movements, doesn't rush. She watches its body, its every small shift, waiting for a sign. The dog's eyes follow her hand as it moves closer, but there's no resistance, no instinctual pull away. Instead, the dog remains still, its body still weak but no longer tense. Emily's hand hovers just above its back, and the air between them is thick with anticipation. When her hand finally makes contact with the dog's fur, there's a soft exhale from the animal, a quiet release. The fur is coarse and matted in some areas, but it is warm to the touch, and beneath the surface she can feel the subtle strength in its muscles. The dog does not pull away. There's no frantic movement, no fear. Instead, its body relaxes slightly into her touch, the tension easing just a little. Emily feels a quiet wave of relief. But she knows the dog's trust is fragile, like the thread of life it's holding on to. She moves her hand gently along its back, stroking the dog with a soft, steady motion. The dog doesn't flinch at her touch. It doesn't pull away. For a moment, it just lies there, breathing slowly, eyes half closed. Emily feels the pulse of its body, its stillness, and the quiet rhythm of the moment. She's unsure of what this means, whether it's just a fleeting trust born from hunger and exhaustion or something more, something deeper. But in this moment, she feels a connection, a simple recognition that they are not strangers, that the dog has allowed her in. The dog's body shifts slightly under her hand, its legs still trembling but no longer stiff with fear. Emily's movements stay slow and deliberate, and she is careful not to overstep. This bond is fragile, still uncertain, but it is there, and it is enough. She can't know what the next moments will bring, but for now, she is content to simply share this space, offering what little comfort she can. As she continues to gently stroke the dog's fur, she feels a deep sense of respect. There is something sacred in the quiet trust that has been built, in the shared space between them. Emily isn't sure how long they remain there, the dog resting quietly under her hand, but she knows that something has shifted. This fragile creature, once so afraid, has allowed her in, and in that soft moment of stillness, a new understanding has been forged. It's not the dramatic, life-saving moment that one might expect, but in the world of animals, trust is often born in these quiet, unspoken exchanges. The wind stirs again, gently lifting the dog's fur, and Emily allows herself a soft breath, the weight of the moment settling into her chest. She knows that this connection is far from a guarantee of survival, but it is a start. The stakes remain high, the risks clear, but in this quiet, shared moment, there is hope. She withdraws her hand slowly, but the dog does not pull away. It stays still, breathing steadily, as if it understands the calm that has settled between them. Emily watches for a moment longer before standing, the weight of the morning carried in the delicate stillness. The dog is alive, and for now, that is enough. The morning has slipped into late hours, and the warmth of the sun now touches the earth, but the stillness of the reserve remains. Emily sits nearby, watching the small dog as it rests. Its breathing has deepened, more even than before, but it remains fragile. The steady rise and fall of its chest, though shallow, is a quiet victory in itself. Emily knows the dog is still far from safe, but the small signs of improvement bring a flicker of hope. She sits quietly, allowing it the space to rest, knowing that anything more than patience could push the dog too far. She notices subtle shifts in the dog's posture. It stirs, lifting its head ever so slightly, its eyes momentarily searching the air as if gathering the strength to move. Emily holds her breath, her hand resting on her lap, still, watching. The dog shifts again, its legs quivering beneath it as it attempts to rise. The struggle is immediate and visible. Its body, weakened by hunger and exhaustion, seems to tremble with each movement. Emily can hear the soft scrape of its legs as it attempts to stand, its paws sliding weakly against the dirt. The dog's body falters as its legs give way beneath it, and it collapses back down. A quiet sigh escapes from its throat, a soft sound of effort and frustration. Emily's heart clenches as she watches the dog struggle. The tension between them is palpable, the dog's body trembling, the moment of vulnerability shared between them. It's clear the dog is trying, but its muscles are not yet strong enough. Emily doesn't rush forward. Instead, she watches carefully, waiting for the dog to decide if it will try again. For a long moment, the dog remains on the ground, its body still but breathing heavily. Emily watches, her gaze fixed on the small animal. Every movement it makes is slow and cautious, a quiet testament to the fragility of life itself. The air is still, thick with the tension of what's at risk. If the dog can't rise, if it can't gain enough strength to stand, it may not survive the day. Each failed attempt pulls at Emily's heart. She feels helpless but remains still, knowing the dog must find its own will to rise. After a long, agonizing pause, the dog shifts its weight once more. This time, it lifts its head higher, eyes focused, its body shaking as it gathers what little strength it has left. The soft sound of its breath echoes in the quiet reserve. Emily's hands rest in her lap, her fingers clenched into a tight, nervous ball, but she does not move. The dog's legs tremble with the strain, its body swaying, and for a moment it seems as though it may collapse once more. But this time, its front paws find purchase, and it lifts its body just enough to hold itself upright, though still shaking with weakness. Emily's heart races. She feels as if the entire world is held in the balance of that small moment. The dog stays there, its body trembling with effort, but it remains standing. Its legs are weak and uncertain, but it's a small victory. The first true step toward recovery. Emily watches carefully, her breath steady now, the weight of the moment hanging in the air. The dog sways, its legs buckling slightly, but it doesn't fall. Its body is a fragile tower of exhaustion, but it stands, if only for a few seconds. And those seconds feel like an eternity. Emily exhales softly, her heart swelling with quiet relief, but she knows it is not the end. The dog's struggle to stand is not over, and it will need all the strength it can muster in the coming hours. She remains still, allowing it to rest in its newly found position. She doesn't want to push it any further. Instead, she watches as the dog lowers its head again, its energy spent for the moment. It lies there, not collapsed, but resting, its breathing slow and deep. Emily knows that for the dog to survive, this small victory must be followed by more. Its body is still weak, but it has shown her something. A sign of life, a small flame of determination. The wind shifts again, carrying the sense of the reserve, but Emily stays where she is, watching. The dog is not out of danger. Its struggle to stand, to move, is far from over. But for now, it has shown her a glimmer of strength. It has risen, if only briefly. And in this fragile, uncertain moment, that is enough to give her hope. The sun climbs higher, the day unfolding around them. But for now, Emily's world is small, contained in the quiet, steady breath of the dog as it rests, standing at last, fragile but alive. The morning stretches on, the sun creeping higher, soft warmth spreading over the earth. Emily sits a few paces away, her eyes never straying from the small dog resting in the dirt. Its body is still fragile, the faint rise and fall of its chest the only sign of life. Despite the weakness that has marked every moment since Emily first found it, there is a quiet hope that lingers in the air. She knows the road to recovery, if it is to come, will be long and uncertain. The stakes are high, the dog's body is still frail, but it has made it this far. Each small movement is a sign, a fragile victory in itself. Then, without warning, the dog stirs. Its head lifts slightly and Emily's gaze sharpens. The dog shifts its weight, its legs quivering as if unsure of the strength it still holds. Emily holds her breath, watching carefully. She's seen animals try and fail before, but this time, something is different. The dog's legs tremble under the strain, but they hold. With a soft grunt, it shifts its body slightly, and in an unexpected movement, the dog pushes itself up, its legs still unsteady but holding its weight. For a moment, there is a stillness. The dog stands, its legs shaking violently, unsure if they can carry it. Emily can feel her heart race as she watches. She knows that the dog's muscles are weak, the toll of hunger and exhaustion is still too heavy to bear. But here it is, standing on its own, despite all odds. Its body trembles, but it does not fall. The dog's head lifts and its eyes scan the world around it, a moment of clarity amidst the uncertainty. It wavers slightly but finds balance again, steadying itself. There is a quiet strength in this fragile stance, an unexpected resilience. Emily does not move, does not speak. She watches, her breath slow, waiting. The dog's body quivers with each shift of its weight, but it stands, and that is enough. It takes a few unsteady steps forward, its legs uncooperative but determined. The slow shuffle of its feet against the dirt is a tentative movement, but the dog persists. The steps are small and unsure, but they are steps, and each one carries it further from the ground, further from the fragility that has defined its existence up until now. Emily watches closely, understanding the significance of what she is seeing. It is not the moment of strength she had expected, not a sudden burst of energy, but it is something else, something just as important. The dog is finding its way back, one unsteady step at a time. The air around them feels quieter now, the world narrowing to this small, fragile victory. She knows it will be a struggle to maintain this. If the dog falters, if its legs give way again, there is no guarantee it will get up. But for now, it moves. It stands. And it moves. Emily allows herself a small exhale, the tension that has been coiling in her chest loosening ever so slightly. The dog stumbles briefly, its legs buckling, but it catches itself. It pauses, its chest rising and falling with the effort. The world around them remains still, the moment suspended in quiet uncertainty. But the dog does not lie back down. Instead, it gathers itself, as if readying for what comes next. There is something in its movements now, a quiet resolve, a determination that was not there before. Its legs still shake, its body is still frail, but it stands. The dog lifts its head once more, as if taking in the landscape before it. A subtle shift in its posture, a soft confidence that builds with each passing second. Emily stays still, not wanting to disturb the fragile momentum. The dog remains on its feet, shifting its weight carefully, testing its legs again. It stands there, trembling but unbroken. Emily watches, knowing that this moment, however brief, has carried more significance than any single action before it. The dog has found strength, not all at once, not in a dramatic moment, but in the quiet, steady resolve to move forward. Despite its weakness, despite everything that has brought it to this point, it continues. It stands. The day stretches on, the sun now overhead, but Emily remains grounded in the moment. The dog may still falter, its journey far from certain, but it has moved forward. For now, that is enough. Emily watches quietly, knowing the journey ahead will be just as hard as the one that has already been traveled. The dog's survival is still uncertain, but its will to fight is undeniable. With each tremulous step, the dog proves that there is strength in even the smallest actions, a quiet power that can carry it forward. ChatGPT said, "The hours slip by quietly, the air warm but not oppressive." Emily remains nearby, watching the dog as it gathers what strength it can. Its movements are slower now, more deliberate. Its body is still weak but no longer trembling with the same intensity. There's a softness in the way it carries itself now, as though it knows it has reached a place of rest, at least for this moment. Emily remains still, careful not to disturb the fragile peace between them. She knows the dog is not yet out of danger, but it has made it this far. The trust between them is still new, but it has grown stronger in the silence of the morning. The dog shifts its weight, lifting its head and slowly glancing around. Its body is still thin, its legs weak, but it moves with a cautious certainty now. The distance between them feels like a quiet river, not yet crossed, but with each passing moment, the gap narrows. Emily watches as the dog takes a few tentative steps, its feet shifting in the dirt, testing its own strength. Its eyes are steady and focused, but there's a subtle weight in them, a sense of contemplation that is rare for a creature so fragile. As the dog moves forward, it pauses, just for a moment, its body still. Emily holds her breath, unsure of what it might do, but then, slowly, the dog turns its head, looking back over its shoulder at her. The movement is small, but unmistakable. There is no rush, no urgency in the way it holds itself. It simply looks at her, its gaze soft, almost reflective, as though it understands the quiet gesture of kindness that has been given to it. The air between them is filled with a quiet, shared understanding. There is no grand gesture, no overwhelming show of emotion, only the stillness of a brief connection, an exchange of silent gratitude. Emily's chest tightens with the weight of the moment. It is subtle, almost imperceptible, but it is there. The dog's eyes linger on her for a second longer, and Emily feels a shift in her own heart. It's the kind of moment that doesn't require words. She's helped this animal through the worst of it, but this final, unspoken look feels like a quiet acknowledgement, a mutual understanding that their time together is drawing to an end. The dog is not yet healed, but it has the strength to move on. It is ready. Emily stays still, giving it the space it needs, but her heart is full. She knows that this is a moment of completion, a quiet exchange of trust that cannot be replicated or undone. The dog's body shifts once more, its legs shaking as it takes another small step forward. It hesitates briefly, then continues, the movement slow but steady. Each step brings it further away, toward whatever path it must now walk. Emily doesn't move, doesn't call out. She watches as the dog walks away, its small, fragile form growing smaller with each step. The connection between them is no longer in the physical space they share, but in the quiet trust that has been built in these last few hours. The dog continues to move, its pace unhurried, its legs still unsteady but pushing forward. As the dog fades into the distance, Emily remains where she is, her gaze fixed on the spot where it last stood. The reserve stretches out before her, vast and open, but the world feels different now, quieter in a way that only moments like this can bring. The dog has walked away, but the bond remains. Not in the obvious dramatic sense, but in the way she will carry this moment with her. She doesn't know where the dog is headed or what will come next, but she knows that it is not alone anymore. It has found its strength, and in its quiet, unspoken way, it has acknowledged the help that was given to it. The wind moves gently through the tall grass, a soft, constant reminder of the world beyond. Emily takes a slow, steady breath, feeling the weight of the moment settle deep in her chest. There's nothing more she can do, but the quiet peace that follows is enough. The dog has gone. but it has moved forward, one step at a time. As the world around her continues, Emily watches the grass bend gently in the breeze, the distant sounds of life carrying through the air. The moment is gone, but the memory lingers, soft and quiet. And that, she knows, is all that is needed. The air is still, a subtle warmth lingering from the afternoon sun. Emily stands where she has stood for hours, her eyes never leaving the small figure in the distance. The dog, once so fragile and uncertain, now moves with purpose, albeit slowly, each step deliberate but unhurried. Its body is thinner than it should be, and its legs still tremble with effort, but there is something different now, a quiet confidence in its movements. The dog is no longer lying on the ground, helpless and weak, but standing, walking, and moving forward. Emily watches, her heart heavy but filled with a quiet pride. There's no dramatic goodbye, no final act. The dog simply walks away, its body growing smaller with each step. The vastness of the reserve stretches out before it, the land open and full of possibility. But for Emily, the world has shrunk to that small figure, moving steadily away from her. There is no rush in the dog's steps, no urgency. It moves because it must, because it has found the strength to carry itself once again. Emily feels a deep, quiet sorrow in the pit of her stomach, but she also feels peace. The dog is no longer hers to care for. It is free now, moving forward into a world of its own. As the dog grows smaller, Emily feels something shift inside her, a subtle ache in her chest. She cannot keep it, she cannot take it with her, and perhaps, in some way, she never could. The connection that they shared was brief, but it was real, built on moments of trust and quiet gestures of kindness. Now, the dog must continue its journey alone, as it always would have. But that thought brings no anger, no regret. It is simply the way things are. The dog has moved beyond its moment of helplessness, and now it moves towards something else: survival, freedom, or simply the next step in its life. Emily watches the dog as it pauses briefly, looking back one final time. She can't tell if it's looking for her or if it even understands that she's there. The dog's eyes meet hers for a fleeting moment before it turns its head and moves once more, its body moving with steady, fragile grace. A part of Emily wants to rush forward, to help it, to make sure it doesn't falter, but she knows that this is its moment. The dog doesn't need her anymore. The dog is ready to walk alone, to continue its journey through the wild, through a world that is still foreign and full of uncertainty. But the dog has learned, and it has adapted, and in the silence of its movement, Emily knows that it will be okay. The road ahead is still difficult, but it is a road it will walk with strength, even if it takes it one slow, cautious step at a time. The dog is now nothing more than a small shape in the distance, the lines of its body blurred against the vastness of the land. Emily remains where she is, her eyes fixed on the spot where the dog was last visible. The wind carries the sounds of the world around her, the rustling of the grass, the distant calls of birds, and the slow rhythm of the land continuing on. But in this moment, all she hears is the steady beat of her own heart, the quiet rise and fall of her chest as she watches the dog disappear completely into the landscape. She doesn't know what happens next. She doesn't know if the dog will make it, or if it will be swallowed by the wild in the same way it was once swallowed by its own weakness. But she knows that this is the dog's life, its path, and her part in it has ended. Emily's body feels still, as if frozen in time. The weight of the moment is heavy on her shoulders, but it is a quiet heaviness. She has done all she can. She has given the dog food, water, shelter, and the softest of touches. She has allowed it to find its own strength, its own will to continue. And now it is time for the dog to move on, just as it was meant to. There is no more need for intervention. The dog has taken the first steps toward its own future. The rest is up to it. As the sun dips lower in the sky, the last rays of light touch the earth, casting a golden glow over the field. The world feels expansive and open, and the dog's disappearance into the distance feels final, yet peaceful. Emily breathes in deeply, the sorrow mixing with a quiet contentment. She has helped, but now it's time to let go. She stands for a moment longer, watching the horizon where the dog has disappeared. The world continues, and she moves forward, knowing that the dog, too, will continue, carrying with it the lessons of this small but meaningful connection. The wind carries its scent, the soft, fading reminder of a quiet goodbye. The day moves on slowly, the warmth of the afternoon sun casting long shadows across the land. Emily remains near the spot where she last saw the dog, though the small figure has long since disappeared into the horizon. The world around her continues, as it always does, the rustling of leaves in the trees, the distant call of birds, the soft hum of the earth alive with its quiet rhythm. Yet in the stillness of the reserve, Emily feels a quiet echo of the moment they shared. The dog is gone, but it has left something behind, something subtle but undeniable, a quiet sense of peace that lingers in the air. She stands, looking out across the vast, open land, the dog's disappearance almost imperceptible now in the flow of time. She cannot know what will happen to the animal, but she knows that it is moving forward. The fear, the weakness, the uncertainty that defined the dog's first days, they are behind it now, at least for a while. Emily's mind shifts back to that first moment, the dog lying still in the dirt, its body so fragile, its breath shallow and unsure. The quiet trust it had given her and the small steps it had taken toward recovery feel like a faraway memory now, but it is a memory that will stay with her. She will carry it, not as a weight, but as a quiet reminder of what it means to help when there is nothing but fragility before you. As the sun begins to dip lower in the sky, casting a soft golden glow across the reserve, Emily takes a slow, deliberate breath. The day is drawing to a close, and with it, the fleeting chapter of the dog's struggle. She knows that the journey for the dog is not over, that there will be more challenges ahead, more struggles, more moments of uncertainty. But for now, the dog is walking, moving, living. Emily smiles softly to herself, the weight of the moment settling gently into her chest. There's no triumph here, no grand conclusion. There is only the quiet satisfaction of having given what she could when it was needed most. She finds a quiet spot near the edge of the field, sitting down in the tall grass. The breeze stirs the blades around her, and she closes her eyes for a moment, letting the world move on around her. The memory of the dog's quiet gaze, the soft way it had looked back at her before moving on, plays in her mind like a quiet song. It is a gesture so simple, yet it holds something deeper. An acknowledgement, a gratitude, something unspoken but understood. The bond that had formed between them, fragile as it was, will remain with her. As the day fades into the quiet of evening, Emily knows that she has done all she could. There is nothing left to do but let the dog go, to trust that it will continue on its path. She knows that the wild is a place full of uncertainties but also full of quiet moments of resilience, of survival, of life continuing despite everything. And in this there is peace. The world is full of creatures that come and go, and though she may never know what happens to them, they leave their marks on her heart. The wind picks up again, carrying the sounds of the world with it. Emily stands slowly, taking one last look at the horizon where the dog disappeared, the memory of its quiet strength still with her. As she walks back towards the ranger station, she feels the weight of the day lift, replaced by a quiet sense of completion. The dog is gone, but the peace it found will remain, not just in the memory of that brief moment, but in the gentle way it found its way forward, step by step. It is enough. The peace it found. The trust it gave will stay with her, woven into the fabric of the land, soft and enduring.